We've all heard the quotes, some from Charlie Munger and some from other investors, that the first 100,000 you save is going to be the hardest by a long shot. And we've got some data to show that. But I'm going to introduce the idea that really the most important number beyond the first 100,000 being the hardest, which it is actually 250,000. I'm going to show you why 250,000 is so important today. It's going to represent a high savings rate for you to get to 250,000. It's going to represent that you have compounding on your side at that point. It's going to represent that you are way ahead with age-based milestones, and it's going to represent that you have the habits in place to build wealth over time. I'm going to explain all of that in more detail, charts, pictures, data, and then give you just a quick market update as well. Before I begin, I must remind you this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence before acting on anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found at wealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine alone. We do have the S&P 500 down just a tiny bit today, really pretty flat on the day, but I mean, look at the dispersion under the surface. So you've got AI getting smoked today. This is kind of the world we're in, right? If there's days where you have to be heavy on the semiconductor stuff, or there's days where you have to be underweight the semiconductor stuff. And this is why I mentioned a few weeks ago that, in this environment, this is one where you need to stick to your guns. If you are big on the semiconductor stuff, you can't let a day like this shake you or mess with you. If you're big in the Mag 7, it's been a tough year, but you're not going to need to change who you are and how you invest just because semiconductors are up or down 5% on the day. This could be related to the SK Hynix IPO thing on Friday, where they grabbed 30 billion. It could just be watering down that space. I don't think any momentum is really dying out there. In terms of enthusiasm, especially enthusiasm around the potential for AI, but valuations are very high, and you'll probably see these stocks peak before enthusiasm peaks, and that's going to be weird for some investors who are newer to the market. They're going to think like, oh, I'm reading good news, why aren't the stocks going up? That's really not how it works. Stocks are going to continue to have good news after the peak. The market's going to anticipate the end of the good news before the end of the good news actually comes. All right, jumping into the road to 250,000. Remember, on a time basis, the first 100,000 is terrible. Charlie Munger has a really funny, famous quote. I was going to put it in here, but he does use a bad word, and I'm like, I gotta stay away from it. But Charlie Munger is one of the best all time when it comes to investing quotes. And he has a funny one about trying to get to 100K. I will tell you, in that quote, it says something like, it doesn't matter if you have to walk to work and only eat things that you bought with a coupon, but you just have to get that first 100,000 done. The friction, though, I'm going to explain here why the friction isn't quite over at 100K. So let's talk about American savings rates here. And then the American median household income. So if median household income, let's actually be generous here. Let's say that median household income is about 100,000 right now. It's probably a bit less, probably closer to 90,000. But let's just say for the purpose of this example, we'll use 100,000. So if median household income is 100,000, what's savings rate? Well, the personal savings rate in the United States is down at like 2.6%. If we use a longer run average of 5%, let's say, on 90,000 of income or 100,000 of income, you can see that folks would be saving 400, 500, 600 a month on average, which is good. And those folks are going to be building wealth for themselves. So they're doing a good job. Remember, there's always going to be a group of folks who are not saving at all. But if we use this average here, the median and the personal savings rate, we get people saving about 5,000 or so per year. Now, if we go back here to this example, this person's saving 10,000 per year to get themselves up to $1 million over about 30 years. Well, if you're at home, you're saving 10,000, and we see that the data shows that the average person is saving like closer to 5 or 6,000 per year, then this person is going to be way ahead in savings from the median American family. And if you're way ahead on savings, then that's good. It is true that if you got to 100K, you could get a 10% year of appreciation, which would exceed the median family's savings for that year. So that is pretty crazy. But at 250,000, if you got a 10% year at 250,000 and you saved 10,000, you'd be looking, let's call it 35 or $40,000 of increase in that next year. And that's not something that average American families are saving in a year. That'd be like 3,000 or so, the equivalent of about $3,000 a month of, appreciation plus savings. That puts you, once you get to the 250,000, you're kind of in a much more elite progress category than you would be at just 100,000. Even though the first 100,000 is the hardest, a 10% year gets you 10,000 on that, and you're still sort of in the same bucket as that median family and what they're able to do. You get the accelerator really starts to turn on after about 250,000. If we keep going, I did just want to show this. These are your average annual returns, or these are your annual returns from the S&P 500 over the past, about 100 years. You can see that 10% threshold is pretty common. And that does tend to be, I think the long run average is just above 9%. Again, it does depend on if you're using total returns or if you're using, just price return. There's a few different things there, but you could think 9% is okay, normal. And that puts that $250,000 family in an elite group. Here's another thing to consider. So these are your top 10% of net worth. So your top 90th percentile in terms of net worth by age. All right. You can think of a family, if you're 30 and you've been able to get yourself to 250K, that's really very difficult based on a lot of the student loan data and the entry-level jobs that people pursue. And also, if you have an advanced degree, it took you some extra time. So getting to that 250,000 by the time you're 30 is not that's very, very difficult. That would put you in a very elite position. But if you got there by the time you're like 33 or so, you would still be on track for this top 10% of folks. And one other thing to consider is this is net worth. And what we were talking about in this example is just actual savings, like an investment account or, investment account plus 401k, preferably an investment account plus a Roth 401k. Focus on the Roth, but folks who are doing this and aiming for this 250,000, if you're aiming for the 250,000 at any bit of a young age, and call it 300,000 by the time you're 35, you're going to put yourself in a position to compete with the top 10% of folks. And while competing with the top 10% doesn't put you in a category of having like extreme wealth, let's say, what it does do is if you are in the top 10% of anything, you're not going to be a poor performer. You're not going to be left behind, right? So you guarantee that you're not going to be left behind if you're hitting these milestones. And if you do get to that 250,000 by the time you're 33 or so, you're going to be competing with that top group. And that's where you want to be, right? You want to be hanging out in or near that group if possible. Also, once you get there, if you do get there, then the compounding itself is going to help you out significantly. You could continue on with that call it about 1,000 a month in savings and remain with that group. Even though the numbers get bigger and weirder on that net worth chart, by the time you get to 250K, you're already positioned there to just remain near that group by continuing saving that 1,000 or so per month, 10,000 a year. I wanted to mention that it's pretty rare to see a family saving $2,000 per month after, especially after 401k contributions, after taxes, property taxes, and all that. That's a pretty hard threshold for people to get. It is funny in life, you do get some really high earning folks out there who will save 10,000 a month or something. But for the most part, people are going to be hanging out well below 1,000 a month, and then every once in a while you might get somebody doing 2,000 a month. If anyone out there is just saving above 3,000 a month, that really, from what I've seen, that puts you in a very elite category of savings, and you would be reaching these milestones very quickly, and you would be firmly in that top 10%, maybe top 5% of folks out there in terms of net worth and wealth building and all that. So just a few takeaways here. What 250K really means on a time and compounding basis, 250K puts you about halfway to 1 million, okay, on a time basis, as long as you keep going with it. Also, annual expected growth on 250K exceeds the high end of what the median American family saves. So just your growth is going to exceed other families' savings. That puts you in a big position of power. When your growth, without saving anything else, is exceeding what other families are doing from the fruits of their labor and grinding that savings out, it puts you in a very elite position, a good position. A 250K portfolio before the age of 35 puts you in a strong position to remain in or near that top 10% of families as you progress through life. So again, the earlier you can get there, it is very challenging, but it puts you in a good position to remain in or near that top group. And it's not really from a standpoint of competition, right? It's from the standpoint of you just want to put yourself in a position to have a stress-free and enjoyable life as you age and eventually transition into retirement. And then a $250,000 portfolio proves that you have the habits in place to build wealth throughout your life. So you kind of already built the foundation, the habit foundation as well. There are folks out there who will never see 250,000 in an account or never see 100,000 in an account. Not because they can't mathematically do it or financially do it. It's like a psychological thing. They just can't get over the hurdle of putting something away, seeing the bigger picture, and focusing on getting that compounding machine growing for themselves. There's always like some shiny object or some vacation that just prevents them from really getting where they should be going financially as they kind of look toward an eventual retirement. But that's why if you get there for yourself and your family, then you've broken through at least that habit barrier to build wealth throughout your life. All right. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining us. This is why I believe that the first 100,000 is the hardest, but that 250,000 threshold is what really turns the compounding machine on for folks who achieve that goal. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to talking to you.